Hello, this is training video number 2. This is section 1 in your handbook. Or section 2 in your handbook. This is going to be Journey Camp staff guidelines. So, our pastors, Zach Carmichael, has gone through and the same kind of standards and expectations that there are on me as a church staff are also given to you. So, we're going to briefly talk about what those expectations are and how they apply to you and to camp this summer. All right. So, welcome to Journey Camp. We are so excited to have you join our team for this summer as fun for growth in ministry. As a paid staff member, you are representing Jesus above all else, but also our church. Okay, we need to make sure that we are proud of the environment that we're creating to keep kids safe and to teach them about Jesus this summer. So, what does that mean to you? So, we have some core values for you guys to think about. So, we want you to be the best version of you when you come to camp. Okay. We want you to pursue what we call excellence. So if you are serving lunch, you're doing it to the best of your abilities, not perfectly, none of us will be perfect, but that you are giving it your all. You're trying to go the extra mile, whether you're playing in the slip and slide or you're teaching the Bible lesson. We also just expect you to be team players and by giving your best to your teammates. Okay. So if you see something that's going on, you need to chip in and help as best as you can. The second thing is be vision and mission oriented. So we spend a long time in video one talking about what our mission is, and that is to be in wonder of the word and to convey Jesus's love to everybody that is at camp. So stay focused on that mission and your assigned role. We often get into trouble when we start looking at other people instead of what we're supposed to be doing. But remember, anytime you have a question or concern, we have me, Miss Carrington, Miss April, all sorts of people that are there that are a little bit older and wiser than you to help out. Go ask questions. There's no guilt or shame if you don't know what to do or if you just think something is wrong, especially if you get that little gut check like this just doesn't feel right, this makes me feel bad. Go talk to one of the adults on staff. We also have some great return staffers that are just very excited to pour out and invest in you, and that is Sean Williams, Braden's staff, and Gabby Gamper. Okay, so they are also a great resource for you guys to go and get some feedback on, which we're going to talk about next. So, our next core value is to embrace feedback. Some of you, this is your very first time to have a job. We know that there's going to be a steep learning curve, especially those first couple of weeks of camp. That's fine, we expect it. But know also that we are going to coach you and teach you. So we have to have this mentality of, no, I'm not going to know everything perfectly. And when Miss D or Carrington tells me something, that I can accept that and grow as a team member. The fourth thing is speak with a unified voice. Support decisions made by the camp staff administration. You might not always understand why we made a decision. You might not always understand why one person is doing a different job than you, but you have to trust that we have a vision and a plan that is for everyone's good. But once again, if you don't understand something, come in and talk to one of your trusted adults there to kind of help explain things to you. We want to give you feedback that is going to help and protect our unity. So things, especially like gossip, are just not going to be tolerated, okay? We're not going to put down or talk bad about each other. Talk to each other before you get frustrated. And we're going to talk about that as well today. So, personal spiritual expectations. We expect you to live with purity and holiness. So, those are kind of some churchy words. So, what does that mean? It's like basically whatever Jesus doesn't approve of, like we're not going to do here, right? I'll give you in a bizarre example, right? We don't expect you to bring cigarettes and smoke in front of kids, right? That's not healthy or good for them to experience. It's not good and healthy for you to experience. So we're not going to do that. But it gets down to just how we speak to each other as well. Are we speaking with kindness? Is that, we used to have these old, what would Jesus do bracelets? Like, if it's not good, if we know that the Bible doesn't approve of it, we're definitely not going to do it at camp. Okay, so we're going to set an example to our campers of what it should look like to try to live as a Christian. Okay, to learn to live by Jesus' example with love and respect to all people. All right, so um, our theme has been wonder of the word, and we have our Bible study expectation. So stay rooted in scripture and in prayer in your relationship with Jesus and keep that growing. All right, so our next section within this training video is God glorifying leadership style. And you guys, as camp leaders to our kids, this is going to be really important. So I wanted us to start off with these verses, Matthew 22:37 through 39. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. So that's number one. And the second is like it, love your neighbor as yourself. So basically, all these leadership style things that I'm going to talk about really hinge on what Jesus said the two most important things in life are is to love him more than anything else and to love each other. Okay, so we're going to go through some things and we're going to talk about how this shows that we love God and we're following after God and that we're honoring and loving people as well. So the first one is giving your all, giving your maximum effort and participation. This is going to be a big deal when we're in worship. Okay, this is a camp for little kids. I'm going to say that again. This is a camp for little kids. And little kids like silly songs, hyped up loud music, and just having fun. And so I want you as the staff to be modeling sometimes really silly hand motions. And I expect you to be doing them and to be singing loudly, even if you're not a good singer. I want you to be setting the bar for how all of the kids should be acting. Some of the kids are going to come here, and this is the first time they've been away from mom and dad. And they need to feel like, oh, well, if it's a safe place for my camp counselor, even though they're older, to be silly, it's a safe place for me to be silly too. Okay, so there's that expectation that you participate with 100%, that you are showing your vulnerability to help the campers feel free from judgment and just being themselves, right? If they don't want to sing loud, they don't have to, right? But I expect you all to set the bar high, especially for worship and teamwork. All right, we want to cultivate what we call a radical culture of encouragement here. And this is really important to me. So, the kingdom of God loves each other well by always encouraging and building each other up. A pet peeve of mine, and what I will not tolerate, is teasing. Because what teasing does is it puts our self above others. It irritates, it annoys, it puts down, it discourages so that I get a cheap laugh. Mm. So I will not tolerate that, especially towards the campers, but also not amongst each other. Now, we can outdo each other with good works and do fun things that are surprising, but I'm not going to let us tease or do harmful, silly pranks. One of the biggest things that I don't like is when people take things that don't belong to them and hide them. That's just stealing. Okay, so we're going to keep our motive to encourage and not frustrate each other. Sometimes older people can use things like sarcasm and joking in a way that can be age appropriate, but our kids don't know how to do that. And what they will want to do is try to be funny like you and cross a line, and then people get mad, parents get called, then I'm going to get called. So we're just not going to have any of it. We're going to build each other with kind words. So no mean-spirited jokes, no labeling each other unless it's a positive thing. Okay? So, our next point was strictly no pranks. We're not going to embarrass one another. I'm just not going to have any tolerance for it towards the staff or for the kids. Now, we are going to play fun, silly games. One thing I'm going to do is teach the staff, hopefully all of you by the end of the summer, how to Smell fingerprints. And it's a silly game that we'll play in morning celebration, and it'll be a prize for somebody that's doing excellent work throughout the week to get to be that person that learns how to smell the fingerprints. So we can do fun things without it being mean. Okay? And we're going to have fun, but we're not going to prank or put people down. Okay. We've already talked about this, but I want you to own the songs, even if you're not musical. When it comes to singing, even our silly camp songs that are even not Jesus related, I want you to do it with expression and to be big and loud. One of my son's favorite things when we play together is if I'm overly dramatic about stuff. I want you guys to be a little bit over the top with some self-control, but over the top so that they feel like this is a great place to show up, raise their hands if they want to when they're singing, or do funny motions with the song. It's all going to be for God anyway. So I want you not to worry about what other people think and just really participate. All right. The last thing in the section, it says enforce safety first. None of this other stuff kind of matters if our kids aren't safe. So I want you to always be thinking of how to keep our kids safe. We're going to go through some things in these trainings about how to make sure that our whole group is together. That's going to be especially important on pool days and field trips. But also for us to be vigilant when we are in charge of supervising the kids. The number one place that kids will get hurt is when we aren't monitoring what they're doing. And so I want you to be very active in your role. I want you to play with kids, but also to be on the lookout for things that are dangerous. Okay? So, daily work policies and conduct. Please show up on time, ready to work. If you are sick and cannot work, first of all, make sure you're really sick. Like there are going to be rough mornings where it's like, man, I got a little bit of headache. I don't know if I want to go in today. That's not a reason to call in. Okay. But if you are sick and you know it, you're running a fever, you feel like you're going to puke, you have stuff going on at the other end where you don't need to be around people, we want you to call in as soon as possible. All right. So this is different than I have a vacation. The vacation should have been emailed to Miss Carrington at least a week in advance to let her know that we need to switch the schedule up. But I'm talking about unforeseen illness. You need to text or call Miss Carrington. Okay. We're going to try to keep those text messages before 8 p.m. But let's say you wake up in the middle of the night throwing up. She needs to know then. Go ahead and send a text message then. But for silly things, we don't need to be texting or calling any of the administration after 8 p.m. We have families. We also need to sleep. So please be respectful of our time away from camp as well. All right. Paid staff operational duties. So you need to be leading the games, participating in the lessons with energy and care. And we need to support campers in building relationships with each other and in teamwork activities. We're going to have specific games that you play as groups. So we're going to have 3 camps. They're going to be divided into some different age groups. So camp 1 is our 5-year-old and our 6-year-olds. That's camp groups 1 and 2. Then we're going to have camp 2, which is our 7 and 8-year-olds. It might mix a little bit. Those are our middle-aged kids. And those are going to be groups 3, 4, and 4. 3, 4, and 5. I might be messing this up. It's in a document, and I should have checked it before this. But camp 3 is our oldest kids, and they are 9, 10, and then I think we have our 11 and 12-year-olds together. But those camps are going to have different rotations. So Mondays, our camp 1 goes to the pool. Tuesday, camp 2 goes to the pool, and Thursday, camp 3 goes to the pool. Just to give you a little heads up on how these are structured. Now, when you get your work schedule, you will see what group you are placed with. Some of our staff are going to be placed day of, especially if you are a part-time employee. Be a team player. Okay, we're all going to have to be in some positions that aren't our favorite this summer. Okay, but let us know if there's a specific age group or a specific thing that you really love so we can try to get you plugged in there as much as possible. All right, reading and rest rotations. During designated rest rotations, leaders have some two choices. I would love it if you chose those times to do your own Bible study. All right. But you can also read to your groups as well during that time. Um, but we need built-in breaks for our kids. Some of them are only 5 and 6 year olds. They need a little downtime, a little quiet time. And I want it not to always be with a screen. There are going to be sometimes that, yes, a little video during the day isn't going to hurt them, and that's going to be clear when those times are. But I want us also to be reading and model reading to our kids during these reading and rest times. Device and property policies. Cell phones are only to be used for camp-related purposes. Okay? Um, I will talk about this more in the sexual abuse training, but the number one way children are exposed to porn is through cell phones. So we're going to be real strict on staff use of cell phones and also children's use of cell phones. I know in the past children have bought cell phones. That's just not going to be acceptable for kids to have cell phones out. Why? Because we don't know what they are looking at on those cell phones. My kid's going to be there. I don't want him seeing something, some junk on somebody's cell phone. So that's going to be a major responsibility to you all. Kids that are older are going to be allowed to bring their cell phones in case their moms or dad needs to text them about something, but they're not to have it out. And if they do have it out, then you're going to contact Carrington, and either I or her will come and have a conversation with them about their cell phone immediately. It's not going to be a bunch of warnings. It's going to be, you see it, you call in one of us to take care of it. But also, they're gonna do what they see. So if they see you having your cell phone out, that's gonna be a big problem. All right. Now, some of you have talked about you have health issues where you have glucose monitors and stuff on your phones. Of course you need to use that. We need you to take care of yourself. Okay, there are going to be times where you need to send a text message to Miss Carrington or myself. Yes, of course. Use it for that. You're going to need the Church Center app to pull out your resources, your group lists. So we need you to have your cell phones if you have cell phones. I don't want you to feel like I have to be super worried, but use them appropriate. You're employed here. We're expecting you to act and be responsible like adults. So we're going to model how adults use cell phones. We will also have walkie-talkies to communicate um, between our groups. So that is going to be better than trying to pull out your cell phone and text messaging so that we can hear um, each other when we need to. All right. Your personal social media and communication. Okay. We can't live differently on social media than we do in our day to day. So if there's stuff on your social media that is not glorifying to God, if you have stuff that's inappropriate on your social media, you need to wipe it down now. Okay? We have in the past fired people for inappropriate things on your social media. Okay? It's not good for you either. Those social media things, they last forever. People can screenshot what you got on there and they follow you around. Make sure those things are glorifying to God on there. Confidentiality. Okay. Protect private information about your campers. If you know that a camper takes a medication, we do not need to be telling anybody that. That is private information. Okay. Miss April is going to be there to help us coordinate medications and when kids get medications and if there's an emergency, all those things. But we need to keep campers' private life private. And so that's why I ask you too, I don't want you to be having your cell phones out taking pictures of kids. We're going to have certain people that are allowed to take pictures for the camp social media, but it's very concerning as a parent, especially with all the weird things that AI can do with images, is for people taking images of your kids and how are people going to be posting it and all of that. So remember, like, let's not be on the cell phones. If you want to take a picture of you and your staff friend, that's fine. Um, but be cautious, protect people's confidentiality, especially our campers. Conflict resolution, and this is the last one in the training staff video too. Stay positive and respectful. We are all, not always our best self when we're tired. And you're going to have moments when you're really tired and cranky. Sometimes that's not the best time to just talk about things. Okay. So we ask you to be in control of yourself. If you are going to talk, if you do need to address something, we're going to have conflict at points. But we need to have respectful, kind conflict that leads to growth so that frustrations don't happen in the future. Okay. So if you don't feel like you can talk to your teammate in your group about something because it makes you too mad, that's the time you need to come and contact and talk to one of us, one of your admin people about, hey, this is like really frustrating me, and I'm afraid I'm going to say something I don't mean or is unkind and is going to ruin my relationship. And those are appropriate times. What the Bible says that the wise seek wisdom from wise, caring friends. And so that's what you're going to be doing. That's not gossip. That's like, hey, this is frustrating me and I don't know how to handle this situation. Come to those adults on staff, okay? And model that you're going to love God and love people above all else this summer. I'm so thankful for each of you. And if you have any questions about these policies or conduct expectations, please just come and find me and we'll have a discussion about them. Okay. But I'll see you for training video number 2. Thanks. Bye.